Have you ever stopped to think just how powerful our brains really are?
Yeah.
It's like we've each got this incredible superpower inside us, this amazing powerhouse.
Oh.
But so often it feels like we're not quite running at full capacity.
Right.
Like we're just skimming the surface of what we could be capable of.
For sure. I mean, between all the digital distractions
Yeah, the constant notifications.
and just the sheer volume of information thrown at us every day.
It's like we're drowning in it.
It really is.
And then there are those times you just can't remember something.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's like it's right there on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't grasp it.
And then that nagging feeling sets in like, maybe we're just not as sharp as we could be.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
like there's this whole other level we're not quite reaching.
Exactly. Well, that's actually what got me so excited to dive into Jim Kwik's Limitless.
Oh, yeah. That's a great book.
It is, and it's packed full of these incredible strategies for actually upgrading your brain. Yeah.
And learning anything faster.
And it's not about some, like, innate genius thing.
Right.
It's something anyone can tap into.
Exactly. It's about understanding the right mindset,
For sure.
the motivation,
Absolutely.
and then putting the right methods into practice.
Yeah.
So that's what we're diving into today.
I'm excited for this.
Me too.
You know, one thing I really admire about Jim Kwik is how open he is about his own struggles growing up.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually labeled the boy with the broken brain as a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had some significant learning challenges. And then on top of that, he had this really bad head injury,
Oh, gosh.
which obviously didn't help.
No.
But later on, he actually saw his grandmother going through dementia.
Oh, that's tough.
It was. And seeing her struggle with that,
Yeah.
it just ignited this passion in him
Right.
to understand the brain
Mhm.
and how to really optimize it
Totally.
for both health and performance.
There's this one story in the book that really stood out to me.
Which one's that? He talks about walking into a room
Okay.
completely packed with books.
Oh,
Like literally floor to ceiling.
oh my gosh.
And someone there challenged him to read one of those books every week.
That's a challenge and a half.
Yeah, he even quotes Mark Twain in there.
Really?
Yeah, that line about, don't let school interfere with your education.
I love that.
Me too. It really emphasizes that difference between just passively going through the motions of formal education
Right.
versus actually taking charge of your own learning journey
Yeah.
and becoming a lifelong learner.
It's a mindset shift.
Total.
So for Jim Kwik,
Yeah.
taking on that reading challenge was completely transformative.
That's
It opened all these new possibilities for him.
Right.
But what really solidified his belief in the power of learning
Okay.
was this story about a woman
Oh, yeah.
who completely dedicated herself to learning all this incredibly complex medical information
Wow.
to help her mother through a cancer diagnosis.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and incredibly, her mother actually went into remission.
No way.
It's true. And for
Mhm.
Kwik, it just hammered home this idea.
That we really can learn anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That if knowledge is power,
Mm-hmm.
then learning is our superpower.
Love it.
But of course,
Yeah.
there are obstacles.
Yeah, we are.
In the modern world especially,
Definitely.
Kwik calls them supervillains.
I like that.
What are some of the things that come to mind for you?
Well, definitely digital distractions.
Oh, for sure. Those
Mhm.
constant notifications
It
and
does.
just the urge to be constantly connected.
Yes. And then there's digital overload.
Hmm.
Just that sheer volume of information.
Bombarding us from every direction.
It's overwhelming.
Absolutely. And then there's digital amnesia, where we rely so much on our devices to remember things
Yeah.
that our own recall ability starts to weaken.
Oh, totally. Like, I don't even know my best friend's phone number off the top of my head anymore.
Same here. I have to look it up.
Right. And then finally, there's digital deduction, where we're outsourcing more and more of our thinking
Right.
to algorithms and AI.
Exactly.
So we're not really flexing those critical thinking muscles as much.
Well, which is a bit of a worry.
It is. But luckily, Kwik provides us with some tools to combat these supervillains.
He does.
Yeah.
And he boils it all down to two essential elements,
Okay.
motivation and methods.
Makes sense.
But underpinning both of those
Yeah.
is the right mindset.
So true. That's the foundation.
Exactly. It's all about recognizing those limiting beliefs we often have about ourselves.
Like those LIEs he talks about.
Yeah, those limited ideas entertainment.
Those BS belief systems.
Exactly.
I loved that analogy he used about the elephant.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one.
So he talks about how a young elephant,
Uh-huh.
when it's just a little calf,
Mm.
they tether it with a rope,
Right?
and it tries so hard to break free,
Yeah.
but it can't.
But then what happens when it grows up?
Well, that's the thing.
Okay.
Even when it's a fully grown elephant,
Mm-hmm.
with all that incredible strength,
Yeah.
it doesn't even try to break the rope anymore.
Because it's learned that it can't.
Exactly.
It's learned helplessness.
And it's crazy how we as humans do the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
We put these limitations on ourselves
Yeah.
based on past experiences or beliefs that we might not even be consciously aware of.
So true.
So one of the first LIE's Kwik addresses
Okay.
is this idea that intelligence is fixed.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
It is. And he shares this story about Ray.
Who's Ray?
She's someone he knows.
Okay.
And she realized she had this fixed mindset about her own daughter's intelligence.
Really?
Yeah. Like she would get uncomfortable when her partner tried to teach their daughter new things.
Interesting.
It was like she almost wanted to protect her from getting frustrated.
Oh, I see.
And she realized she had this underlying belief
Yeah.
that her daughter was maybe too young to get it,
Right.
or that her abilities were just kind of set in stone.
But Kulik's whole point is,
Yeah.
it's not about how smart you are.
Right.
It's about how you are smart.
Totally.
Everyone has their own unique strengths and ways of learning.
And intelligence is something that can be developed.
Absolutely. It's not fixed.
It's
It
fluid.
changes, evolves.
And it's influenced by our actions,
Yeah.
our attitudes,
Mhm.
and even our environment.
So true. Another lie that a lot of people believe
Okay.
is that we only use 10% of our brains.
Oh, yeah, we've all heard that one.
Right. And it kind of makes it sound like
Yeah.
we've got all this untapped potential just waiting to be unlocked.
Right, like 90% of our brain is just sitting there doing nothing.
Exactly. But Kwik actually quotes this neurologist, Barry Gordon,
Okay.
who calls that idea so wrong, it is almost laughable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The reality is we use all of our brains.
Makes sense.
But the key is,
Yeah.
some people have just learned to use their whole brain more effectively than others.
I like the analogy he uses of physical fitness.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
We all have 100% of our body, but some people are just stronger or more flexible or have better endurance.
Right.
So it's the same with our brain.
Exactly. It's not about suddenly accessing some hidden part of your brain.
Yeah.
It's about learning how to optimize the way you use the whole thing.
Another LIE that really resonated with me
Which way?
was that mistakes are failures.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It is. And I think a lot of that comes from,
I know, right?
how we're taught in school to avoid mistakes at all costs.
Like they're the worst thing ever.
Right. But Kwik actually reminds us of that Einstein quote.
Which one?
A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new.
So true. Think about all the amazing inventions and discoveries throughout history.
Yeah.
They all came from people who were willing to experiment.
And probably made a ton of mistakes along the way.
Exactly. He also shares this story about Carol Greider.
I don't know her.
She's a Nobel Prize-winning scientist.
Wow.
And she actually struggled with dyslexia. Yeah. But she overcame it by developing incredible memorization skills.
That's amazing.
It is. And it just goes to show
Yeah.
that facing challenges
Mhm.
can lead to unexpected strengths.
I like that.
So the key takeaway here is to reframe mistakes,
Okay.
not as failures,
Right.
but as opportunities to learn and grow.
So true. What's another lie that we often tell ourselves?
Oh, this is a good one. That
Yeah.
the criticism of other people matters.
Oh, yeah. I struggle with that one.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But Kwik actually had this really interesting conversation with Jim Carrey about this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Carrey basically said that his whole thing
Mm-hmm.
with being so out there and unconventional
Right.
is partly about giving other people permission to be themselves.
Interesting.
And he sees self-limitation out of fear of judgment
Yeah.
as the biggest travesty in the world.
Wow.
And he uses this phrase,
Okay.
freeing people from concern.
So it's about not letting the opinions of others
Right.
dictate how you live your life. Kwik then goes on to introduce this new belief,
Okay.
which I absolutely love.
Let's hear it.
It's not your job to love or respect me. It's mine.
Ooh, that's good.
Right. It's so empowering.
It really is. It shifts the focus inward
Totally.
from seeking validation from others
Mm-hmm.
to cultivating self-acceptance.
I love that.
Another ally that's super prevalent
Yeah.
is that genius is born.
Oh, for sure.
We tend to see these incredibly successful people
Right.
and just assume they were born with some kind of special gift.
Like they were just destined for greatness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Kwik uses the example of Bruce Lee,
Oh, interesting.
who had anything but a privileged upbringing.
Really?
Yeah, he moved to occupied Hong Kong as a kid.
Wow.
got caught up in street fighting,
Okay.
and even faced prejudice within the martial arts community because of his heritage.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but what set him apart was his incredible drive to learn.
Mm.
He was constantly seeking knowledge
Oh,
from
wow.
all sorts of sources. And he developed this philosophy
Yeah.
of martial arts being a form of self-expression,
I like that.
where the individual is more important than any rigid style or tradition.
That makes sense.
So it challenges that idea that genius is just something you're born with.
It's something you cultivate.
Absolutely. And it's not just one thing either.
Oh, right.
Kwik actually presents 4 different genius habits.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The first one is dynamo.
Okay.
These are the highly imaginative types.
Like who?
Think Shakespeare.
Ah.
People who are amazing at generating new ideas.
Okay.
Then there's Blaze.
Okay.
These are the ones who are super empathetic
Mm.
and great at connecting with others.
Like Oprah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then there's Tempo.
Okay.
They've got this strong strategic vision,
Right.
and they're really good at long-term execution.
So someone like Nelson Mandela.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, there's Steel.
Okay.
These are the meticulous, detail-oriented folks.
I feel like I might fall into that category.
Maybe. Think someone like Sergey Brin.
The Google guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the point is, we all have our own unique blend of these genius habits.
It's about identifying yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, beyond just intellectual abilities, Kwik also emphasizes the importance of a positive mindset
Oh, for sure.
for overall well-being.
Including physical health.
Absolutely.
He even mentions that study from Johns Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, the one that shows.
That people with a positive outlook
Mhm.
have a reduced risk of heart attack.
Exactly. And the Mayo Clinic also talks about
Yeah.
the role of positive thinking in stress management.
So it's not just some woo-woo feel-good thing.
Right. It actually has tangible benefits.
For sure.
Yeah.
But how do we actually cultivate a more positive mindset?
Well, Kwik provides some great strategies.
Okay.
One thing is to really become aware of your inner critic.
That voice in your head.
Exactly. That's constantly putting you down.
It can be so mean sometimes.
Right. So the first step is to just notice it
Okay.
and then start to challenge those negative thoughts.
Like actually talk back to them.
Yeah. Ask yourself if they're even true.
That's a good point.
Another strategy is to look at the facts.
Okay.
So often our limiting beliefs aren't based on any real evidence.
Right. It's just stuff we've made up in our heads.
Exactly. So challenge those beliefs.
Yeah.
Get to the truth.
And then create new beliefs that are based on fact.
And remember that inner critic.
Yeah.
It's not the real you.
Okay.
It's just a voice.
Gotcha. And positive emotions aren't just about feeling good. They actually help us build skills.
Yeah.
Kwik talks about how when a child is playing, they're not just having fun.
Right.
They're developing coordination and social skills and problem-solving abilities.
So it's learning through play.
Exactly.
And it's all fueled by those positive emotions.
Awesome. So that's mindset.
Yeah, the foundation.
Now let's talk about motivation.
Okay, the fuel.
Kwik has this really cool formula for motivation.
I like formulas. Hit me with it.
Okay, it's purpose times energy times S cubed.
S cubed. What's that?
It stands for small, simple steps.
Ah, I see.
So let's start with purpose.
Okay.
Why do you want to learn something new?
Right.
What's your reason, your driving force?
Your why.
Exactly. Kwik actually talks about how his own personal purpose stems from those learning challenges he faced as a kid. And now his mission is to help others unlock their brain's potential.
So they don't have to go through what he went through.
Exactly.
And he makes this really interesting distinction
Okay.
between passion and purpose.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. He suggests that passion often comes from experimenting,
Right.
trying new things,
Yeah.
and kind of rediscovering yourself.
So passion is about exploration.
Exactly. And then purpose often emerges from that passion.
I see.
It's what gives your passion direction and meaning.
Like it's the bigger picture.
Totally.
Another key element of motivation
Right.
is our sense of identity.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. Kwik talks about how the I am statements we tell ourselves have a huge impact on our motivation.
Like if you believe I am someone who's bad at math,
Right.
then you're probably not going to be very motivated to study math.
Exactly.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
He uses the example of someone trying to quit smoking
Right.
until they shift their identity from I am a smoker to I am a non-smoker. It's so much harder to actually quit.
So it's about changing your self-perception.
Totally.
I like that.
Kwik also has this really powerful exercise for boosting motivation.
I'm all ears.
It involves taking the time to write down all the disadvantages
Okay.
of not learning something.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you really think about the potential cost.
Like the emotional toll,
Yeah.
the missed opportunities,
Exactly.
both now and in the future,
It's about connecting with those negative consequences.
to fuel your motivation to change.
Love it.
Yeah.
And finally,
Yeah.
Kwik reminds us that motivation isn't just some fleeting feeling.
Right.
It's about building habits and routines that are aligned with your values and your identity. Okay, so we've got the mindset,
Yeah.
motivation. Now let's talk methods.
All right, let's get practical.
So one of the first things Kwik covers
Okay.
is brain energy management.
That sounds important.
It is, because you can't expect your brain to perform at its best if you're not taking care of it.
Makes sense. What are some of the key things he recommends?
Well, first off,
Yeah.
he talks about brain-boosting foods.
Give me some examples.
So things like foods rich in DHA,
Okay.
which is a type of omega-3 fatty acid,
Gotcha.
B vitamins, and curcumins.
That's the stuff in turmeric, right?
Exactly.
Interesting.
But it's not just about what we eat.
Right.
Exercise is also crucial
For sure.
for both physical and mental health.
He even mentions a study showing that aerobic exercise can improve sleep quality in older adults with insomnia.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And speaking of sleep,
Yeah.
that's another big one.
Absolutely. We need to stop glorifying sleep deprivation.
Totally. It's not a badge of honor.
And so many people struggle with insomnia.
Yeah.
So Kwik offers some great tips.
Like what?
Well, first off, having a consistent sleep-wake cycle.
That's a big one.
It is. Also optimizing your bedroom environment.
So making it dark and quiet.
Exactly. Avoiding screens before bed. And, of course, exercise.
It all ties together.
It really does. Another amazing tool for brain energy management is meditation.
Love meditation.
Me too.
Yeah.
And Kwik actually quotes Ariel Garten,
Okay.
who's one of the co-founders of Muse.
That's that brain-sensing headband, right?
Exactly. And she says that meditation isn't about emptying your mind.
Right.
It's about training your mind to become more aware in the present moment.
That's a good way to put it.
Even just a few minutes a day of focused breathing
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
He also mentions Emily Fletcher
Okay.
and her Ziva meditation technique.
I haven't tried that one.
It's good. And finally, under the umbrella of brain energy management,
Yeah.
we've got continuous learning.
So true.
Just like physical exercise strengthens our muscles, engaging in new learning experiences keeps our brains sharp and adaptable.
Through neuroplasticity.
Right. So it's about constantly challenging yourself intellectually.
And embracing lifelong learning.
Absolutely. Okay, what's next on our list of methods?
Let's talk habit formation.
Ooh, I love habits.
They're so powerful.
They really are. What does Kwik say about them?
He uses this great analogy
Little analogies.
of a wise counselor who gradually builds his strength
Okay.
by carrying these piglets.
Piglets.
Yeah, little baby pigs.
Cute.
And he starts with small piglets.
Okay.
But over time,
Yeah.
they grow into these massive boars.
Wow.
So he's gradually increasing the weight, building his capacity. And it's the same with habits.
I see.
We start small
Yeah.
and gradually build up.
It's about consistency.
Exactly. James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits,
Oh, yeah. Great book.
says that habits are solutions to recurring problems.
That's a good way to think about it.
And Kwik also introduces this fog behavior model,
Okay.
which is this framework for creating new habits.
So it's based on three things.
Yeah.
Want, innate ability, and now.
So want is your desire for the habit.
Okay.
Innate ability is how easy the habit is to do right now.
Right.
And now is the trigger that prompts the behavior.
So, like, if I want to drink more water, I could keep a water bottle on my desk.
So the action is easy and accessible,
Yeah,
and then set an alarm on my phone to remind me to drink every hour.
That's a good trigger.
He also shares this incredible story about a guy named Shang.
What's his story?
He completely transformed his life
Wow.
by adopting new habits.
Like what?
Jogging,
Okay.
reading, and studying computer science.
Oh, good for him.
And interestingly,
Yeah.
the first book he read
Okay.
was Carol Dweck's Mindset.
Oh, wow. Full circle.
Kwik himself has this super structured morning routine.
I'm always curious about people's morning routines.
Me too. So he uses the acronym DREAMS,
Okay.
which stands for decide to recall your dreams,
Okay.
record them immediately upon waking,
Gotcha.
keep your eyes closed for a few moments,
Interesting.
affirm positive intentions for the day, magnify those desired outcomes,
Okay.
and set your intention for the day ahead.
That's a great way to start the day.
It is. Now, speaking of being productive,
Yeah.
let's talk about flow state.
That elusive feeling of being in the zone.
Exactly. So Kwik describes these 4 stages of flow:
Okay.
struggle, release, flow itself, and consolidation.
Interesting.
He also quotes Stephen Kotler, who calls flow the source code of intrinsic motivation.
So it's about finding that state where you're so engaged that everything just flows effortlessly.
And Kwik provides some strategies for getting into flow.
Like what?
Managing your energy levels, eliminating distractions, giving yourself enough time, doing something you enjoy.
For sure.
Defining clear goals.
Okay.
Challenging yourself, but not too much.
Right.
And cultivating a strong belief in what you're doing.
I like that.
Okay, next up.
Yeah.
Focus and concentration.
That's huge these days.
All the distractions.
It's so hard to focus.
It is. But Kwik defines focus as the ability to direct your brain's full power to a specific task.
And distraction is the enemy.
Their ultimate enemy.
He quotes Dandapani, who says that concentration is like a muscle.
Oh, yeah.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So it's something we can train.
Absolutely. Some of Kwik's tips for improving focus are single tasking.
Oh, that's a hard one.
I know. But so important.
Creating a distraction-free environment.
Yeah.
Calming your mind.
Like with breathing exercises or visualization.
And even scheduling specific times for distractions.
You're not constantly getting pulled away.
Exactly.
If we're talking about learning effectively, we have to talk about study habits.
Absolutely. So Kwik outlines these 4 levels of competence.
Okay.
Unconscious incompetence.
Meaning?
You don't know what you don't know.
Gotcha.
Then there's conscious incompetence.
So you're aware of what you don't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then conscious competence.
Where you can do it, but it takes effort.
And finally, unconscious competence.
Where it's just automatic.
It's you mastered it.
But Kwik adds a 5th level.
Oh, really?
True mastery.
Okay.
Where you're limitless.
Wow. I like that.
And his point is, most people weren't actually taught how to study effectively.
That's so true.
We often just default to rote memorization.
Yeah.
Which isn't very efficient.
And he debunks the myth of cramming.
Which we've all done at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's not a sustainable way to learn.
He highlights the primacy and recency effects.
Meaning?
We tend to remember the information at the beginning and end of a study session.
Okay.
But forget a lot of the stuff in the middle.
That makes sense.
So what does he recommend instead?
Well, one technique is active recall.
Okay.
Where you try to recall information from memory without looking at your notes.
Okay.
So it's like testing yourself.
Exactly. And then there's spaced repetition.
Which is about reviewing material at increasing intervals to combat the forgetting curve.
That's the idea that we forget things over time.
Exactly.
Or unless we actively review them.
And he also talks about listening with your whole brain using the HEAR mnemonic.
Which stand for?
Hold distractions.
Okay.
Empathy. Anticipate. Review.
Got it. And of course, no discussion of learning would be complete without talking about memory.
So true. Our memory is everything.
It is. And Kwik shares this amazing story about Joshua Foer.
Who's he?
He's this journalist who trained his memory to the point where he won the USA Memory Championship in just 1 year.
That's incredible. So he went from having an average memory to being a memory champion.
It just shows you the power of training.
Absolutely. Kwik introduces the MOM mnemonic for memory.
Okay, I love mnemonics.
Me too.
Yeah.
So MOM,